Order.
Tough, tough.
Sit down when you talk. Oh, it's up. It is 5:45. Welcome to our first in-person meeting in a very, very long time. Oh, okay, Dana can call.
Okay. May Carter.
Here.
Cynthia Brunson. Mary Nelson.
Excused.
Atisha Holmes. Cutts.
Excused.
Lori Nelson. Dana Natalie. Brian.
Here.
Dan, are you here?
Yeah, I think so.
Joseph Bavada. Here. Harry Pratt.
Present.
What's going on?
Whose seat are you at?
Hello.
Joe Driscoll.
Let's just talk. You guys can't hear us. Silence. Oh, okay. Especially. Not on a committee. I report it. I think it doesn't to me. If I'm correct, I'd say that it's strong. Very different on the it's not. So it's that actually at this point in time the only person affecting myself Dan. And I think what happened prior to self-area that started to term they term it's supposed to be that so up to down to 2 seconds so that's probably I'll give them a little time to
So the website is being created and updated by the CRP. So once it has been, the interface has been completed, then we will have the ability to upload stuff and actually put the necessary information on there. So we intend to have a complaint form on the website in order to fill it out, things like that. We also intend to have, just like we did before, just regular information about our ordinance, you know what I mean, our legislation, things of that nature. If you can, as board members, go on the old website and see if there's anything that you have a suggestion that you would like to change, please do that and then get that to us as soon as possible, so that we want to make sure that the information is accurate. Typically, we do a bio. If you want to make changes to your bio, please get your bio to the portal. If you have not submitted a bio, please submit a bio to the portal as soon as you can, so that we can have that information up on the website. We'll have some other links to things that we think is important, and if you think that there's an important link that you think we should share, like we'll have information about DACO on there and a link to their website, you know, because we are a part of that, but just anything like that, just try to look at the website, you know, you know, sometime sometime next week, and just shoot us an email and let us know whether or not you have any particular suggestions. But this way, hopefully, we'll be able to update the website in a more expeditious manner than what we think updated before. The agenda, the minutes, and else that we have in them. I'm excited about having links, them being able to submit it, or them being able to submit questions from there.
Be able to print it out?
Yep, they'll be able to print it out. They'll also be able to submit it. We're hoping that they.
Yeah.
Yep, and so we're gonna use Adobe for the signature and things of that nature, because based upon the way our ordinance is written, there's supposed to be a signature on it. So we will, you know what I mean, have all those features, so make it, and I'm excited about that, because I think that it will be beneficial to people who have save the environment with the trees.
My mic isn't on, so that's good.
Sure. Too much, so speak up.
Oh,
The
okay.
red button,
Nice.
it indicates up here, just have to kind of figure it out.
So if you could speak.
Alright.
Joe, have some,
You got 11 minutes.
Hearings, I had in since the last meeting. Have some confusion. Turn. Police department had a baby, or she was due in June. So we had some hearings scheduled prior to that, some communication. So they now that it's good.
Yeah.
and, so what we're gonna do in executive session is schedule the hearings that are not, and go ahead.
Get that information.
We'll do it in executive.
The other aspect of that is Renette just touched on, the attorneys represent. Making progress in scheduling hearings. My recommendation, problems had recently is that at date, suggestions, don't schedule. No. Haven't gotten back to us on such and such a date. I have the ability to schedule. Searching to be someone. So, said she's new. So, we are going to have executive session tonight, 5 pieces to go over. We have 5 pieces.
Other.
So get all 3. Oh yeah, okay. Ahead of time. Those dates are 12th, 13th, 27th, and 28th.
Dates.
Pick.
Any day.
In executive session. Thank you. Got it now?
Yes.
Okay. Next.
I submitted a resolution even though those cases were going to be dismissed by the district attorney's office has not prosecuted possession of marijuana. The reason for doing this, and the police department is not going to shout about people, is they want to use those pretext to search vehicles and search for a person for firearms. It was reported that using this method, they found 17 firearms in vehicles, which is laudable, but the problem is that they charge over 1,000 people with unlawful possession of marijuana. So they're having a low success rate. My initial thought was this should be investigated as to whether it's a good policy. I reached out to a lot of board members, got a lot of feedback, and I also reached out to Kristen Smith to see if we were allowed to do that. In particular, one board member had a problem with investigating complaints without a complaint, and thought that could open Pandora's box for the Citizens Review Board. And with that information, as well as Kristen Smith indicating that she couldn't give a legal opinion without the board's consent, I'm presenting this to the board to say, let's get a legal opinion as to whether we could investigate such practices by the police department without a complainant filing a complaint. It would be step one in holding hearings and investigating this particular practice, but the other thing is that it would allow us to investigate future practices. So if something comes up that we want to say, hey, we need to take a look at this. The Syracuse City Police Department is doing this as a matter of public policy. Were there oversight? Were there sufficient oversight for it? We want to look at that. This legal opinion will help us on that. And that's why I think this legal opinion is I would ask that we look at it in terms of the overall board and not in terms of the amount of possession of marijuana. And it is my intention that if the legal opinion comes back and says, thank you, it is my intention to present another level of concern. Let's go ahead and form a committee and board and have hearings on this particular policy. But that's not up to the board. It's up to the board whether we can do that and ask for a legal opinion to do so.
Okay, so, Joe has made a, questions, discuss the practice. Yes, you can.
Are we specifically asking Kristen Smith as the city attorney to give us an opinion, or are we able to ask our independent counsel to give us an opinion as well, just in case there is a conflict of interest?
My impression from reading the statute is that we would first need to go to Kristen Smith to ask for her opinion. And if she declines because of a conflict of interest, then we would go to our counsel, who I believe is Ryan Susser at Bousquet Holstein. So that's why I put in there on the second resolve that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Corporation Counsel Kristen Smith. Because my impression is that she had her practice.
The only reason why I ask is because we know that for all intensive purposes, she is our attorney until we have a conflict of interest. And so I just wanted to make sure we kind of fished that out to make sure that we don't limit ourselves with this resolution to only saying that she is the only one to give us an opinion and that we
Yeah,
can't
the
therefore.
resolution doesn't say that, but the motion might, so then we might want to change that
You
motion.
get what I'm saying? We don't want to make sure that that is the only opinion that we are seeking.
Can you handle that then?
So what we're doing is basically, we want to say,
Giving permission to get a legal opinion.
Resolution 2021-1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that is. And then we can ask her first and then get where we want to, but we know
Right.
the standard. Okay.
Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
Harry, did you vote?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't see.
I know.
We were kind of like looking,
you
we
know,
were looking
I've got
down
Mary-
like we kind of heard.
And I've got May in front of me, like, you
These
know,
aren't on, right?
all these
No.
meetings on the phone, May, I couldn't see May, now I can't see May again.
All right.
Okay.
Not me, I'm a loudspeaker. I was trying to understand the question that he was asking. If I got it right, I believe the question was if it was right to search the vehicles for
No,
rifles.
well,
That's what I'm trying to understand.
well, we're kind of asking that question ultimately, but right now the question is, as a citizen review board, can we investigate something that we don't think is correct without a civilian or a citizen of the Syracuse filing?
Got you. Okay,
So that's what we were voting on, is to get a legal opinion on whether we can have a hearing on something that we don't have a specific complaint from a specific individual.
okay. That's what I was trying to figure out. Thank you.
Okay.
That was the
And
question.
then
Get a chance-
After that,
get a chance to
be
speak.
deciding what we did that on. Yes, Dan?
There's a difference between a law that's not enforced and no law. So it's up to the district attorney to prosecute a law for which a person has been arrested.
That has nothing to do with whether we're allowed to investigate a complaint without a complainant.
What I'm trying to get to is, in this particular case, there are, I'll continue with my abstention.
Well, I look forward to having that discussion when we have
That's okay.
the
We're okay.
ability to do that.
Just a quick point of order, I don't think we approved the minutes from the last meeting.
we did not.
Yeah, so I move to approve the minutes from the Thursday, June 3rd, 2021 meeting.
Thank you, Joe. Second on that? Questions on the minutes?
Thank you, Joe.
All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see your faces from behind the computer screen. Thank you to our community members for coming. It's good to be back in the chambers and in person. So activity report. June, we received 5 new cases in the office, making our total number of cases for 2021 24. As Lori stated, we will be reviewing 5 cases in executive session. In terms of t-shirts, You have a copy of a t-shirt, t-shirt information from G&L Printing. We utilized them prior to this point, for some t-shirts, and you are able to see the design. We have received some board members, sizes.
Stewie County doesn't have to.
We received some board member size assignments, and we did not receive everyone's. So, as you can see, with what we have now, the total would be $410 for t-shirts. But if we, I would ask that we make a motion for it not to exceed $550, just in case we have to make an amendment, to this t-shirt order, just to make sure that we're fully covered. And if we could cover that in the minutes. So as you can see, we're looking to get the t-shirts, the polo shirts would be knitted style, you know how the ones with the little holes in it, so it's breathable and it's not as cotton like we have the last ones. That's the jersey format, and then we get the regular t-shirts, and then we have some board members who don't wear short sleeve shirts, so we did put in there for a long sleeve shirt. So that is the reason why that is there. We would be trying to get, again, everybody to have a jersey shirt and also a t-shirt. So you have a polo and a t-shirt to wear at the time of CRB events, so that we can be fully coordinated. So if you have not provided your t-shirt size to Roberto, please get that. But I would like to ask for a motion.
Cliff, Hatisha second. Any discussion on shirts? I would just like to point out for those that don't know, this is the Good Life Foundation that does these. And I believe they now have a store at the Salt City Market. And keeps some kids employed and teaches some kids business ethic, and it's a worthy cause. So all those in favor of getting t-shirts not to exceed $550?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
In your folders, you will also see information with regard to the budget. That's the lovely green papers that you can see. We have exceeded the budget with regard to our contract services for our attorney this year, which is the reason why you see a request for transfer. We had went before the council and asked the council to increase our budget from $13,000, well, actually it was from $11,000 to $15,000 for our outside council budget, because we've had to utilize them a great deal over this last fiscal year, and now we still have some outstanding balances. So we need to increase that budget to $17,280,000. So I wanted to let you guys know we have the funds to increase that budget line, but I just want to let you know that that's what we're going to be asking for, and I have to go before the council because it exceeds the ordinance amount. So it go from 15 to 17,280, and that's why I put that in there for you guys to see. Do we have, the last time we talked about it, I think we had a motion.
I think we did.
So can I have a motion to increase the budget for the outside legal counsel through Bousquet Holstein to cover the remainder of the fiscal expenses for 2020 through 2021 in the amount of, I think it's gonna be $17,800.
Second.
Thank you. Where are we moving it from?
So that's the sheet.
Okay.
The sheet breaks down, this other green sheet where you see the request to transfer funds, breaks down the amounts that we are going to utilize
Okay,
and where we're pulling the funds from in order to cover those expenses.
thank you.
Okay? The white sheet that's behind the green sheet gives you the next, our new fiscal year. Oh, did we did a motion? Everybody in-
All in favor of moving that money? Please.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Then, as you know, the 2020-2021 fiscal year ended on June 30th, and we are now, as of July 1, into the next fiscal year for 2021-2022. So if you look at the white sheet that you have, that's in there, that is the information. You have another green sheet, Cliff? Yeah, so yours is green.
Okay.
All right.
Same thing.
So it's,
Okay.
yeah, okay. So if you look at that, that'll give you the totals for each budget line for the 2021-2022 fiscal year, just so you know. And you know, as we do every month going forward, we will account for, and I'll show you what's coming out of the budget. But I wanted you guys to at least be able to see the starting budget and know what we fiscally start with in terms of our total budget. Okay? So that is the information related to that. On the blue sheet, that you have in front of you, as you know, I am a part of the city, so you know they have a reform plan. And I'm part of the review committee for the reform plan to see whether or not the city is actually going, doing what needs to be done as far as what's listed in the reform plan, the deadlines and things of that nature. So we were talking about the right to know and the data that they're trying to collect. And so if you look at the very bottom of the blue sheet, we have heard mixed things as it relates to whether or not people are receiving cards from officers. And on the back of the cards, it is supposed to provide information for the Office of Professional Standards and the CRB. So in order to see whether or not that is actually happening moving forward, I stated that I thought we could put something on our complaint form to see whether or not the people are learning about the CRB from that method. So if you look on the bottom, we were going to include at any point during or after your encounter with the police officer or officers, did you receive any information regarding the CRB? If yes, please state when you received it and how. And that is so that we can see whether or not this is actually happening or not. So they would say a business card, you know what I mean? They would say either during or, you know, after, so that we can kind of keep track and see whether or not this is really happening. And so I just wanted to make the board aware that that was something that I thought would be good, and it'll be good statistical data, and we can report on that in our reports.
This would be the information sheet right here, the actual information sheet.
So this is part of the complaint form, and we just added this last little portion, this last line on here. It's page 5 of our complaint, and we're just asking that information. And then the next thing is them signing the complaint and them filling out the statistical information. But I didn't want it to get lost as a, you know what I mean, if we put it in that little chart part. So any questions about that? Okay, all righty. Anything else? Okay, so I think I am. Oh.
It's kind of council business.
And
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, committee reports?
Yeah, that's enough of the administrator.
Yeah, we're done with that.
I don't, do I need
We
a
don't
motion?
need a motion, we can just ask.
I need a motion? I don't think I need,
I think you're supposed to be doing that, brother. I don't think you're supposed to be doing that.
yeah, I don't think so. I just wanted to make sure. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one last thing. No.
Okay.
So, we will have a summer intern, one summer intern this year from from On Point for College. He will begin on July 5th through August the 5th. And we have work for him to do in the office, but I just want to let you know that there will be another person in the office, between that time from On Point for College. We're not paying for it out of our budget. However, they work that out, they're getting paid through On Point, but we get to have them, so they'll be in the office beginning on
we know
this
his
coming.
name?
Yes.
Keep the resolution sheet.
Yes, you can keep that resolution sheet, I just need the one.
Yeah, don't keep one that's got signatures on it. You've got that? Yeah. Okay. Committee
Yeah.
outreach and public education.
I didn't get a resolution sheet.
Well, you abstained from the vote, did you want to sign it?
I want to see it.
Didn't get a sheet
Should
at
be in
all?
your folder. Thanks.
And it was sent to you via email as,
Look at this.
Dan,
What?
it was sent to you via email as well.
Pardon?
It was sent to you via email as well before
Okay.
the meeting, so you do have it via email.
Okay.
So with, community outreach and public, education, we didn't get a chance to, attend the Jubilee. Was anybody there? Cause I came,
So I circulated the information and asked whether or not people were going to be willing to attend that every Sunday. I got you to say that you put, you say put me down for everything, but I didn't get any responses from anybody else. So,
I'll be at this next one coming up.
okay, we can get you some information and you can just walk and talk and pass them around. I think it's good to be there. I don't know about having a table because typically people don't come up to the table. So I think mixing and mingling is a better option for us than sitting behind a table.
Events that we have that you feel that we should be passing out information at, please let me know and I will make sure that I'm there at those events to pass out that information.
Okay, well, I just need people to respond to the emails and let us know that you are definitely gonna come. And then, we can definitely get you some information and packets and stuff like that. Yeah.
I certainly agree about not having a table, and we did a lot of tables 2 summers ago, and there were very few people that stopped at the table, and I think a lot of it is people are a little uneasy about, who may or may not see them stopping at the table, so being there and handing stuff out, I know,
That is a better solution anyway, to walk around and hand it out.
yes, I mean, a few of us did that at the Pride Parade a couple of years ago, and even that is difficult, because I had several people say to me, do I look like someone that needs this? And it's like, I think everybody needs it.
And I'm good with that. I'm good with passing out that information and
Yeah.
engaging the community in discussions as far as that's concerned, so.
Sounds good.
Hold me up and I will pass that information out because it's needed.
I did attend the Syracuse Pride, this past Saturday. And I did hand out some of our pocket cards, with regard to that and talked to a few people. I sat at the table with Planned Parenthood, and just kind of talked at that point in time. So we did have some outreach last month, with regard to Syracuse Pride. We also did, stand, at the National Gun Violence Awareness Day. We did that as well, so we did stand on the steps with regard to that. I did attend the Juneteenth flag raising. So that was there. And I don't know if anybody attended the flag raising at City Hall for the Pride? Okay. So those are the three outreach events that we did do for the month of June.
All right, I'm gonna kind of skip the board development and
Oh,
training
no,
because
I
we
have
didn't
some.
we didn't do a doodle poll, did we?
Nope, I have something.
Oh, okay then.
So, in terms of board development and training, I reached out to Bob Stewart and asked him for dates in which he might be available for the month of August. And he stated that he had the dates available, 1 second. And I told him that we usually typically like to do them on Saturdays. And he provided the following information.
Is that for August?
August, yes. So he stated that he was going to be available August 7th and 14th were the best dates for him. Okay. So August 7th and 14th are the best dates for him. And he wanted to know what the agenda or topic list would be. He says that way he tries to do now these interactive training sessions. So he wanted to know how long it was going to be and if he needed to, because he does the interactive, he would need to know whether or not he needs this other person. And by telling him what we plan to do and have him discuss at the time of training would give him a better idea. He said for him to come, if he's in Binghamton, it's going to be $1,000. No, yeah, $1,000. He said for a workshop, which would involve action planning, it would be an additional $500 plus travel and lodging for the technician. Travel from DC, Jacksonville, or Orlando. So we're looking at getting him, if we are going to get him again, the price would be about $1,500 for him to do.
Is he gonna be in Binghamton on the 13th? 'Cause if he is, let's get him.
Get him right, Lori.
You know?
So I just wanted to put that out there. We do need to gather dates, so look for a doodle poll that'll be coming out because now that we have a full board, we need to get that done. I also believe that we should have members of Spark to come, SPAARC, to come and speak to the board and provide us with their information about their action plans and information about what their initiatives are. And I think it would be better if we had somebody from them to come and talk to us so that we can understand, because they're always mentioning CRB and everything that they are doing. And I think that it's important for us to understand their mission. So those are the two things that I did. And I was advised, I reached out to 2 members on there and requested some data that they had on some information from a public safety from the last meeting they had. So I received that data, and I also received some other data from that same event, but I didn't send it to everybody because I think that it would be better for us to have it and print it and for them to explain it at the time that they come to our training session than for me to send it out now and there be questions that I think they are better prepared to answer.
Correct. I think that in addition to that, anything that we're gonna do that does not involve Bob, we should do them first. Because we tell him 3 hours, it's gonna be 4. So I don't wanna have
He's
him
good.
come in the morning and then have other people waiting to come in. So if we could do Spark, and I thought we were gonna try and have somebody from SPD and somebody from the DA's office.
Yep, so we'll continue to do those.
In the morning.
Yep.
And then have him in the afternoon, and that way I personally won't be sitting there looking at my watch saying, how long do we have to keep these other people waiting?
Right, and we have to look
And I
at.
don't like to cut him off because he's really good. So.
Yeah, and so we have to look at, given the fact that I know last year we received a $5,000 extra bonus for our training and training-related travel from the police department when they did a Department of Justice grant. I'm not sure if we're going to get that again, but we have to look at whether or not we can afford $15,000, $1,500 for him to come.
Right.
That's,
That's why we.
you know what I mean? So, you get what I'm saying? So we have to really look at that.
Did we ask your police department for it?
Yeah, we'll circulate back with them, but I'm just putting that out there that, we need to, think about the budget. That's why you see the travel and training budget on there.
I think
And-
we need him. We definitely need him to come in and do this thing. Not that department in the road, but I think we need him, what he brings to the table as far as informing the citizens of the board. And follow up from his last training, because we didn't get a chance to finish that training. And the information that he was given was very valuable, so we definitely need to bring him back. For new information, but follow up on the training that we had last.
All right, and then we need to decide whether or not we want to do some sort of board development in that same training, but I think that if we will need to kind of do, because that would probably be a full 8 hours if we're trying to do him for like 4, and then everybody else, it'd be pushing it. And then Hatisha, we would ask and see whether or not your place, 1199, would be available.
Not for August, we don't think we be open until after Labor Day.
Okay, so then, we need to think about, we need to think about either we have it in August or we have it in September, but I wanted to make sure that as new board members, we were able to get training done this fiscal year, and so I want to try to, get that done. So just want to put those things out there. So what I'll do is we'll send out a doodle poll for those dates in August, and we'll send out a few for, Hatisha, can you look and give me some dates for September? Just in case that doesn't work, if we have to do like part 2 or something of that nature. Yes.
Do we have any other options?
Other options for,
Training?
yeah, so as the board, you can submit information via email, via email as to what recommendations you would like to see in terms of a training, and we can fish out, all of that kind of stuff.
I was thinking that NACO, is it comparable for pricing and training where we can get some, how do I put this? Hands-on, Bob was good, but I couldn't retain anything that I got out of being there
Okay.
for 6 hours.
So the NACO conference, as I circulated information with regard to the NACO conference. They have a virtual conference coming up, and they also have an in-person conference. Check your email, because it was kind of late in the day that I sent it. So check your email and see if you would be interested in attending the NACO conference, and you don't have to attend all of them, even though they're virtual, and we can kind of do that as well. And then we can see whether, what else is out there. But I understand, so we'll,
There looks like there's some good Nicole training in that virtual training, May. It was a bit intimidating because it's every day for like 3 months. So I had asked Renette, can we pick and choose, and yes, you can. So you don't have to register for the whole thing. So I think that'd be a good one to look at.
Okay.
so yeah, and then any other suggestions that you guys think, that everyone thinks that we should look at for training?
What about Mark Russell?
I think he'd be part of our training. I'm sure that's.
So this SPD would send if we,
Yeah, most likely. And I was trying to figure out who else we were thinking.
For the liaison meeting, we were talking about having a
Yeah,
yeah.
all right.
Government relations, Raynette and I continue to meet monthly with, Counselor Merjuk. Maybe this month we can meet him in person, but, we've been doing virtual meetings and phone meetings and any other kind of meeting we could come up with. Just to keep in touch, for those of you that were paying attention, there was some contentious banter, I guess would be the way to put it, at the budget hearing that Raynette spoke at. And as a result of that, we felt that there needed to be more communication between the members of the council and us. And Joel being the chair of the Public Safety Committee, he is meeting with us, and it's going well. I think he's learning more about the Citizen Review Board than he thought he needed to know, but that's fine, because we're learning about the council too, so. So we do that the fourth Tuesday of every month.
And so you find that those meetings are effective, and if not, can we request a different counselor?
We cannot, we can request, so the way it works is he is over the Public Safety Committee, which is technically over the CRB. And they have a whole committee, but he's the chair of that committee. So if we feel like we need to have either a meeting with the whole Public Safety Committee, we can kind of do one of those meetings that they do at 3 o'clock on a particular day and go before the whole Public Safety Committee. Or we can, I'm not sure if he does ask other counselors to attend or not, but it's a question that we can, figure out. But that's the reason why we're meeting with him, is because he's the chair of the Public Safety Committee. Now, we know, not to get political here, we know that there's an election coming up. And we know that, so things could change in next, January. He may not be the public safety chair. We don't know. So we just are working with where we are right now as to what we have in place. And so right now it's protocol to meet with him or members of the Public Safety Committee before we go before the whole entire council.
The reason I asked is that the prior council was not very supportive, and I didn't want CRB to continue to be involved with counselors that is not supportive.
He is very supportive
Okay.
right now.
We are increasing support at every meeting.
Okay.
All right. Police relations?
We haven't met since the last meeting, have we?
Yeah, we had the police liaison committee meeting that Cliff was just talking about. It was our first quarter. It was after our first quarter meeting. And Cliff was there. You and I were there.
It's coming back to
Dana, were you there?
The one in June?
Yeah.
Was there one since June?
No, it was one in June. Okay, would you like to give a report on that one?
I would love to.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.
Since you remember it.
Hey. We talked a little bit about the fact that our report was done, and there was some discussion about the revised body-worn camera policy, the mentally ill persons, which is the current terminology.
What do they call it?
Mentally ill persons?
Ill person?
Uh-huh.
They decided to call it something else. What's that?
I think that's what they're calling them.
I think that's, yes. And the SROs. And Sergeant Russo was going to get us some information about the definition and the training for us, the school resource officers, SROs.
We haven't received it yet, but we will follow up with him on that.
And, and he also was going to provide us with the 2018 letter he wrote to us, talking about which policies that policy recommendations we've made that the SPD has actually addressed, and he asked that be made available to our new board members, and that we somewhere in our report put, even if they haven't done what we asked, at least say, well, they've addressed it in this way, so that it does look like there's still progress being made, and then we are meeting about these things. As far as the mental health training, they are bound by the New York State Department of Mental Health, and they can't change it.
And can you get your cell phone? Thank you.
And let's see if I can read my own. Yeah, he was going to forward you the full curriculum for the Department of Justice 40-hour SRO school. We talked about, for us getting access to the evidence.com, where the body worn camera footage is, and the SPD said they're not in a position to do that because it's so highly regulated and restricted. We did sort of resolve this by the log we're doing with Lieutenant Izzo. We did talk about clean reporting, which is something that the DA's office is, their representation was that the DA's office is also against this because reports are court documents. And the SPD is looking for the officer's independent recollections. Sorry, I've gotten like 3 hours of sleep in the past 2 days. But they are not denied access to their body-worn camera footage before they write their reports. And that's something that both SPD and the DA's office apparently feel strongly about. So Renette brought up a very good point that, okay, if they are going back to that body-worn camera footage when they write the report, can we at least note that upon review of the body-worn camera footage? I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, part of that, okay, so it was from the DA's office that not doing the clean reporting and allowing them to review the body-worn camera footage could be problematic for victims. The police department has moved their crisis intervention training in-house. They are close to the 20% of the force being trained for dealing with persons in crisis. That's the proper terminology. Persons in crisis is the proper. Thank you, Cliff. Yes. Yes. And they also are working with Liberty Resources to respond to issues that deal with persons in crisis and not just a straight police presence. They talked about the Civilian Academy this year, and they plan on doing it, but they're changing the format. It's going to be in the fall.
So they're talking about that.
It's supposed to be more rigorous than the last one.
Right.
She just spoke about the Citizens Academy, and she was saying that they switched the date from when?
Well, they're going to do another one in the fall, but it's good. They said it's going to be much more rigorous than it has been in the past, and
More aggressive.
yes, exactly.
We'll get a chance to speak.
And this is open to the public. Do you have to sign up for? How are they gonna get the information out?
Yeah, they intend to circulate it out to
Yeah.
people like they did the last time, and then you can kind of we can decide whether or not, as a board, you want to take that Civilian Academy. And then they usually send it out to their networks of people and get people to sign up that way. And we should, be able to circulate it to our networks of people who, once we get the information for those who want to attend. I don't know if we're gonna decide to make it a mandatory training again like we did the last time, but,
So if the CRB wanted to host one of those, and maybe at the Center Community Center, would that be palatable, or if the people are
we would not be able to host a Civilian Academy for the police department. We would be able to host a Civilian Academy about the CRB and what we do and things of that nature, because it would have to be in a particular facility, as it relates to SPD. So we couldn't do that, but we could do our own kind of get to know the CRB. What does the CRB do? What has the CRB done for the city? We could do something of that nature and, have it at different community centers. We could also do our thing where we do the interacting with the police and explain the different levels of interaction. We could do something like that at a community center and things of that nature. Some of the things we've kind of done, in the past. We could, see whether or not, board members want to do that.
I like to recommend to the new board members to, that I plan to attend if I'm allowed to take that training, because what that training does is it takes you inside the job of a police officer, and it's a very good training to take, right? And you'll get good insight, and as they stated earlier, it's going to be more vigorous than it was in the past. So I can tell you, I took one of the trainings, and you know, one of the formats was, you know, they put you in certain positions as a police officer in certain situations, and you have to know how to react as a police officer. That's just to give you an example. So I just recommend to the new board members, you know, to sign up for the training as it becomes available.
Very eye-opening.
It was a fabulous experience.
Very good training, as well as any citizens, right?
Yeah, they let citizens participate in it. It just wasn't CRB members, but I like to just make mention that in terms of oversight, we need to understand how they are trained in order sometimes to be able to make recommendations about their training techniques. That's what part of our legislation is. But we by no means want to be so ingrained in their system that we can't stay objective. But we need to at least have, you know, enough of a wherewithal so that we can be informed, but yet stay neutral. You get what I'm saying? So that's the reason why we do it. I mean, we've caught flack before about receiving this training before from community members, and it's understood the reason why. But I think that when people have not had interaction with the police, are unsure about certain trainings and things of that nature, that it is eye-opening for you to see some of the stuff and be kind of in the midst of things that we may only see on TV or things of that nature, and it's a little bit different. And so, you know, that kind of thing. But I just want to put that out there.
I think it gives us credibility also, in that they're saying, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You've never been through this. Well, we sort of have. We have some experience now, so.
I would agree. That's why I'm saying it's good for us to get the training, because it increases our knowledge, just as Ms. Relaford said, right? So we get insight as to what their policies are and what their training is, techniques they use, so that when we have a hearing and we make recommendations, and we know what we're talking about, what we're looking at, and what we're seeing as far as a police officer is concerned. So it's like both Ms. Relaford and Dana said, you know, it's good to get that training in there, so you can have that insight when you make your decisions as far as a hearing is concerned.
And things
and remaining objective, like she said.
Right, and things have changed, you know what I mean, and technology improves and things of that nature, and we at least need to know what type of technology they are using and things of that nature that we may not get, you know, just by reading a policy. I will say that in terms of a policy, Mark Russin is supposed to reach out to me because, as you know, we have made recommendations with regard to body-worn camera, and we've made recommendations with regard to use of force, and he is supposed to update me and provide us information as to what they did include in the new revision that is supposed to be dropping sometime soon, as to what was included in that were CRB recommendations. You know, we had some definitions in there that we thought that people needed to be able to see. You know, Dana mentioned some of the other things that we've advocated for and things of that nature, but we are supposed to be getting an update so that we know what was included from the CRB, and then we intend to kind of include that in our report when it.
And part of that also will be things that we recommended that were not put in and why they were not put in.
Yep. Because I know there are questions all the time about how we put in our reports what they did that the CRB recommended and what they didn't do. And it is our opinion that it's important for the public to understand what recommendations the CRB puts forth. And to take them completely out of the report would have people thinking that the CRB never made any recommendations. I agree that we indicate, and we have indicated previously, that, you know, we have spoke with them about particular recommendations, but we are not willing to take our previous recommendations out of the report just so it does, you know what I mean? That's my thing. We have to make sure that the public is aware that we had to recommend something for umpteen years in order for it to be taken seriously and implemented. We have to do that as the body that we are.
And I think a really good example of that is the repeal of 50A. They keep saying, well, we can't do this because it's a law, we can't do this because it's a law, we can't do this because it's a law. Well, people then finally said, okay, well, you can't do it because it's a law, well, who's making that law? So if we just stop mentioning it, then people will not know that they have more of a voice than.
That's what the common council told me, good luck with that.
And now that we have the repeal of 50A, much of our ordinance is based
It is.
upon that.
It-
You get what I'm saying? So like now we need to make sure the public is aware. And we've been looking at these legal opinions that have been happening and the suing that has been occurring with regard to 50A before we start to hopefully on this new website provide a lot more data and information that we didn't provide before. But we did not want to jump the gun. And then once it's out there, you know it's out there and you can't bring it back. So we wanted to make sure that once we put it out there, we were within our own legal realm and we were within what needed to be done.
Can you give definition of 58 for the people in the audience in case they don't know what you're talking about?
So 50A had to do with the keeping officer information in-house. So it was so that it was secretive, so that when we did reports, we could not report what the officer's name was, who was involved in this particular incident because of 50A. And so now that has been repealed. And so now we have the ability to talk about particular officers and, you know, in those dynamics and things of that nature, which we didn't before. Now, mind you, we still have confidentiality that we operate under as it relates to each particular complaint that we have, and we don't release complainant information to the public, and we don't talk about specific cases in the public because we want complainants to feel comfortable coming to us and filing complaints. But that's different. And if you've noticed and you look at any SPD post that has been happening recently, you notice that they are putting the officer names in the report. Officer such and such was on the scene and they recovered, yada, yada, yada. Those are the things that were previously not being done because of 50A. So now we have the opportunity. And it also gives you the ability to FOIL that information and get more information than you were previously made available.
More transparency.
Excuse me, Dan, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. Did you want me to tell about my conversation with Kristen Smith, or do you want to wait for executive session?
I don't remember what your
Oh, I
conversation about, Kristen Smith.
He was going to call Kristen about,
Oh, the
This,
AG's request. Oh, about the attorney. Yeah, you can go ahead and advise. I mentioned in the last meeting that we have previously been requested by the Attorney General's office to provide copies of our files. And because as you know, the AG's office is investigating the Syracuse Police Department. So we would get the request from our attorney, Kristen Smith, and Kristen would direct us to provide what the AG's office was requesting. Their most recent request had to do with all the cases that had been processed in 2020. And so that was cases that we fully completed, not cases that we have to hold hearings on. So we withheld the cases that the final disposition has not been completed, but we provided the cases that have been fully completed. And Dan questioned whether or not we should be requesting a subpoena from the Attorney General's office to give them that information. So Dan's going to give you that update.
I talked with Kristen Smith about this, and she agreed that it would not be out of line to issue a subpoena for those. However, they have a working relationship with the AG's office, and in the spirit of cooperation and in the spirit of resolving the issue, she has foregone the necessity of the subpoena and has decided to do this voluntarily, which probably is a better policy, actually. I had a very nice conversation with her. She understood my question. She understood the issue, and that was the answer. The answer was, in the spirit of cooperation, we are cooperating with the AG's office. So that's the final answer.
Thank you. That was my opinion too. I did not want to be asking the AG's office to subpoena the CRB. I didn't know what they might subpoena us for, and we needed to narrow that search as much as possible while us two people in the office were getting it together.
We ain't got nothing to hide.
We don't have nothing to hide, but I'm just
No, I
saying,
know what you
it
mean.
opens up again.
Speak for yourself.
It opens up a gamut of, you know what I mean? It opens up something else, and we need to not be put on, we need other people to stay on Front Street and us just to be a cooperating body. And so that's how I see it.
I do appreciate you calling her down.
We appreciate.
Well, her response to mine had little to do with the CRB and had more to do with the city of Syracuse.
No,
Yeah.
that's my point. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was another reason why, when we were talking about this resolution, I made sure I made points, because in the end,
She's very helpful, but
she is. Damn it. Yes, she is.
And it was prior to the last meeting, just so you know,
Oh, okay.
because it's in the minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's a little bit of it in the minutes.
Okay.
I like the thought that the police department is trying to address the issue of police response to persons in crisis. I agree with Dan, I agree with Dan. So everybody write this down.
so they
Okay.
keep,
Oh, today.
That, the police officers are not trained to decide whether someone is mentally ill or not. And especially in a circumstance that is highly charged, they shouldn't have to worry about that. So the more resources we can give them to deal with people who are in crisis, the better. And I'm glad that they're partnering with Liberty. It seems like they're trying to take it seriously, and I hope this continues.
I think what they've done in the past, at least, way in the past, they didn't rely on a diagnosis per se. They relied more on the harm to themselves or somebody else, part of the 941 law. So I think that's probably in line with police tactics, public safety as opposed to health issues.
If I could just make one last statement before we are done with our reports, is that we made a lot of progress last fiscal year. I just want to point that out. We made a lot of progress in spite of, changing from virtual, from in-person to virtual. We continued to have our meetings that needed to be had, and we continued to make progress with the people that needed to be made. We have received more from the department than we have in the past, more communication. Again, it did incur a lot of legal fees, because we made sure that we were represented by our independent, by our counsel. But it was necessary to make sure that we continue to remain at the forefront, and our interest in the meetings were being considered. So I wanted to, I would be remiss if we didn't take the time to say that we made a lot of progress with the group that we were working with on a monthly basis to get where we are today, in terms of having hearings in which officers are actually coming and testifying. Sometimes they testify only to a certain extent, based on when the complainant shows up or not, but before we weren't getting them to come, even though they were subpoenaed, and they really weren't asking any questions. So I just want to point out that, and appreciate the work that has been done this last fiscal year to make better, make better means of communication and the sharing of information between everybody. And, I hope that we can get done what needs to get done this upcoming fiscal year to continue to move the needle forward, because I would hate to see all the work that we did do go in vain. And that would be, again, would be remiss if we don't say, the adding new people, getting more people to the budget somehow and, things of that nature if we, don't move that forward. And then looking again at how the legislation was written, as it relates to 50A in many parts that kind of held us back or will continue to hold us back if we don't revisit what's going on. So just look for those things to continue to be pushed in this next fiscal year, and I hope everybody's paying attention so that it doesn't pass you by. But we intend to continue to move forward, and we did a lot. And I appreciate the board members who were able to switch, from in-person to virtual and technology and all that good stuff. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say those things. We've come a long way in the last 4 years. So just wanted to say that.
Okay, public comment. You be the.
Let Elder go first. You sure? Go ahead, step up, brother, step up.
3 minutes, right? Isn't that word?
Yeah, five.
Five, sorry.
No, each member does get 3. You
Well,
get
it's
3
fine.
minutes.
I don't
just-
think I have
just
any.
speak. Right.
Don't think I have any comments for the time being, or any questions. Well, I have comments. You guys seem like you guys are doing very well. It's my first time being here, so it was good and nice to actually sit down and actually hear what it means to, be in front of this. So it's nice. I don't think I have any questions. The only question I did have was the first one, which you calmly answered. Wait, you guys, about the police academy thing, that was the date for that. I know it was in the fall, but you guys don't have an exact, you guys don't have an exact date yet.
No.
All right then. So when you guys do, I'm pretty sure Cliff would contact me about that. So I don't think I have any other questions other than that.
Mentoring the young man through his program. He's inspiring to be a police officer, and he wanted to come in and get an insight as to what the Citizen Review Board was all about and what it is that we do. So I invited him to come and get that insight. I think you've been very informative.
That's great.
Appreciate you coming, and hope that you get a chance to attend the Citizens Academy. And we'll get that. I'll make sure I get that information to you when we get the information as to when it's going to start.
All right then.
2 questions. What's your name?
Carbion, right?
Carvion.
Carbion.
Okay, Carvion.
Yes, ma'am.
And second question, did you go to any of the free trainings that the FPD offered to get people ready for the service desk?
No.
training?
Haven't heard of anything about that.
Yeah, they were doing free,
I think they still are.
they're still doing it,
They're
right?
still doing it.
Yeah, like the workout, they run workout with them so you can pass the fitness test.
Cliff, you get the information to him.
That would be nice. Yes, I would love that information.
I'll try to find it and share it with you.
I'll look into it.
So I never heard anything about that. That sounds interesting.
So we'll work on getting you that information.
All right,
through
thank you.
Cliff. All right, thank you.
Welcome back.
Mustafa, welcome back, everybody. I don't want to. I ain't trying to disrespect nobody or, put nobody. But I think I know everybody on the board is, they took an oath and so on like that, and we appreciate the Common Council letting us use their space. And I took it offensive saying somebody rambling through the councilor's desk. And I feel that the information that's provided to you by the Citizen Review Board is right there on top of the desk. And that should be the only information. You shouldn't be reading any notes inside any desk that any councilor have. That's very, and it makes me nervous, because that's their business. It ain't got nothing to do with you like that, and it's dealing with, everybody is supposed to be honest, like that. And then on top of that, I feel that, especially if you want to bring more people from society to come over here and participate and so on like that, they don't want to see nobody face frowning like they really ain't interested in constantly, interrupting with all types of little methods and so on like that to interrupt the meeting and so on like that, because I take this very serious, this Citizen Review Board, and I've been coming for a while now. And I take this, everybody know I take this very serious, and I ain't coming over here to play no games. And I'm gonna call you out if you're wrong. I'm gonna call you out. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't want to be on the board, you might as well just remove yourself off and start frowning and making all little tactics to interrupt the thing. You know, I'm not trying to disrespect nobody. I'm just trying to be real. You know, I'm just trying to be real. This is a serious issue here with this police, and we're making some accomplishment, you know, with the police they cooperating and so on like that. Come on. We can't start, you know, as far as what he was saying, I agree 100%, you know, that need to be checked into about that issue right there. If they are, you know, arresting people for marijuana and so on like that, and finding guns, no, all that right there supposed to be documented. You see, this is the reason why you stop them for marijuana, certain wrong. And then if you find illegal weapons and so on like that, but all that, yeah, I think that need to be really seriously checked into, because that's something that's concerning right there. You know, and you know, I'm saying I think it's a lot of accomplishment. I heard that the union and the city came to some type of a contract finally. That's a real good move right there, because all these years they've been beating around the bush on having a real contract. It was a handwritten contract that they've been going by for many years. So that right there is a real accomplishment. If the city finally got a contract and agreed to that, I think that's an accomplishment right there, because now it's written down and it's signed and so on like that, and they got to abide by whatever they got in that contract. You see what I'm saying? So that's a real big accomplishment right there. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that's what I heard, and man, I was happy to hear that part right there, because I mean, a handwritten contract for all these, come on, that's playing games. You're playing games with people's lives. You know, that's basically all I got. You know, I appreciate, you know, the work that y'all doing and so on like that, but I just want everybody to be sincere and dedicated, and you know, don't play no games. If you don't want to be here, please let somebody else come in that wanna be here. You know, all that frowning and stuff like that, that'll discourage people from not saying, oh no, they ain't serious. Because I done seen many different members of the board, so you know, I see the you know, the change. I know the change. You know, man, it's a big. You know, I'm sorry, I don't want to take up too much time. You know, I appreciate, you know, all of you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I did send the information about the arbitration award, which is what Mustafa is talking about. I sent an email to everybody from the article that we saw on Syracuse.com. When we get the actual document, I'll circulate that, but we did get the arbitration award, and the mayor is going to do a press conference, I believe tomorrow at 1:00. I think that's what it's going to be about. It might be on the YouTube. I think it's going to be on the YouTube page, on the City of Syracuse YouTube page. And I'm quite sure once it's published, you know what I mean? Once it's published, people will be able to get a copy of it. So when we get it, you know what I mean?
To print it.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when we have it, I'll make sure that you get a copy, Mustafa, so you can see it. But as of right now, we just know that it has been reached, an agreement has been reached, an arbitration award has, you know. So those are very good points, Mustafa. Thank you for your continued support of the CRB.
I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
And
Thank you again for your time.